Well, more and more adults are going gluten-free. For some people, about 1% of the population, it's a matter of life or death. According to the National Institutes of Health, another 5 to 10% of Americans have a form of gluten sensitivity. And just last year, 28% of adults tried to cut down on gluten, according to research company NDP Group. For those who have to avoid gluten altogether, they have a condition that is known as celiac disease. And for local author who has the disease, it's been life-changing. She will soon share her story during 2 free public workshops, and the author and gluten expert Janet McKenzie Prince joining us today, along with Dr. John Haydek, a Gastrointestinal Associates physician and dietitian. Heather Kaufman. Really appreciate all 3 of you being with us. And Janet, we're going to talk to you in just a moment. We're going to let you share your story. But first, we want to bring in Dr. Haydek and really talk about what is gluten and then what is celiac disease. Gluten is a protein that comes when you break down wheat and other substances like rye and barley. Gluten with celiac disease, your body just can't break it down, and that gluten causes this inflammatory reaction in your intestines, and you get a lot of inflammation which injures the small intestine that eventually leads to you not being able to absorb like nutrients and certain vitamins. That chronic inflammation over time will sometimes make people feel fatigued and no energy. They may have symptoms of not absorbing their nutrients like gas and bloating and fullness. And it can also cause other symptoms that are invisible or silent, like they can get low vitamin levels like iron or vitamin D. They have more chances of depression, anxiety, fatigue, skin rash, and other things. How often do you see gluten allergies in your practice? We got to be careful because celiac disease is a genetic abnormality, but there are patients who do not have a genetic problem, but they have gluten intolerance, and that's a different thing than having celiac disease, which is a measurable genetic abnormality. So we usually quote 1 in 130 or 140 people have celiac disease, which is the genetic abnormality. Sure. But if you add to that this gluten intolerance, it's probably even higher. All right, Janet, before you were, we found out that you had celiac disease, you were actually wrongly diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer.
Well, that was one of them. I was diagnosed with many different things that were all wrong. It took about 12 years to diagnose me. And even after 12 years, it's still very difficult to diagnose celiac disease because...
A lot of misdiagnosis.
Yes. Well, a lot of people, we present differently a lot of times, and so I was a very difficult case, but that was 13 years ago. Okay. We've learned a lot more, thank goodness, to doctors who are up on the technology and the different diagnostic.
Well, and thank goodness for a gluten-free diet. That's really changed your life.
That did change my life. And the minute that I was diagnosed, first of all, I was very happy because I was suffering from malabsorption so badly that I was walking with a cane. I was very weak from malnourishment. My muscles had atrophied. My arms were so weak that when my godchild's first son was born, they had to prop me up with pillows to feed the baby. I mean, I was really quite frail. When I found out it was celiac disease, I said, wow, isn't that great? What's celiac disease? This was 13 years ago. I became my own food detective and a nutritional zealot, as Heather well knows.
Heather is, and I do want to bring you in. We only have a minute left. How common is gluten in foods, and how easy is it to find gluten-free foods? I know we're seeing more gluten-free than we have in the past.
Gluten is in a lot of foods, especially the foods that people aren't aware of, not only the breads and the pastas, but it's in some condiments, it's in vitamins. I even found it in a protein powder that I was looking at that was just a whey protein. So really read the ingredient list to make sure it does not contain gluten.
A lot of people are looking at a gluten-free diet. Do some people, though, need gluten?
My personal opinion, my professional opinion, no. Okay. I don't think they do, because it is very inflammatory. I think a lot of more people have gluten insensitivity than they realize, and I think that people who eliminate gluten become less symptomatic when they don't know what's causing it.
Okay.
When I put people on a gluten-free diet, within 2 weeks I hear they're pain-free. They never thought they would have no pain in their knees or their back, and that's the first thing that they report to me.
So you've seen a lot of success
Yeah.
there. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time, but we do want to let you all know you can learn much more about going gluten-free and hear more of Janet's story during the Living Well Gluten-Free Workshop. It will be offered twice, September 18th and then again October 17th. Both sessions will be at Bearden High School Auditorium from 6 to 7:15 in the evening. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you very much.